Rams fans, what the heck is going on? Welcome back to another NFC West Roundtable. I am Sheriff Joe Baggs, host of Ram Showcase, and we are rocking out on this this beautiful Tuesday. And you know, we're heading into Week 9, and a bunch of crazy stuff has been going on. Today was the trade deadline. We didn't see any major splashes today, but we did see a pretty big splash for one of our squads on the NFC West. We'll definitely mention it. We won't go too crazy about it, but we will definitely talk about it. But the LA Rams, who I represent here, were able to get a big old dub against the Houston Texans, something we did anticipate. And then we do have the AZ Sports fan joining us as well. The first loss of the season. We'll get into it, but you know, I know that all the Cardinals fans out there are not as loud as they were. so I'm here for that. And then also we got Steezy A Smith representing those Seattle Seahawks, who definitely shut us all up with what they did at home to those Jacksonville Jaguars. And then, of course, we do have CG Ruthless Sports of the 49ers, representing the 49ers, who also were able to get a big win. But they made me sad in a different way that we'll talk about here as well in a little bit. But guys, what the heck is up? We're going to Week 9, guys.
It's nuts, man. It's super crazy to see where we're coming in right now. But I wouldn't want to say before I jump into too crazy about my matchup, man. That matchup, bro, that Thursday night matchup was, if you weren't a Cardinal fan or a Green Bay Packer fan, man, what do you guys think about that game? Like that was a Thursday night football.
Wildly entertaining. I can tell you that much, man. I went over to my buddy's house. He's a Packers fan, and so I kind of went up there because we were both, you know, rooting for the same thing to happen.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we just went over there, had some beers and stuff, and then. Yeah, man, I did not anticipate that fully to be the way it unfolded, but I ain't mad about it. I know that much.
Yeah.
Steezy, you were able to check that one out on Saturday? Or Thursday? Way off.
Oh, yeah. No, I was actually at work when the game was happening, and, you know, as weird as it might sound, I was rooting for the Cardinals. You know, I had money on the Cardinals, and – yeah, I mean, for Green Bay to come in without 11 starters, you know, I think we're starting to see maybe the beginning of the demise of the Cardinals defense. I mean, J.J. Watt didn't play in this game, and I don't know if, you know, if his absence is going to, you know, it is really going to hurt a lot more than people think. But, you know, this was their first game without J.J. Watt, and so that's going to be very concerning, I feel like, as we head into, you know, the midway point of the season. And but overall, it was a great game. You know, if AJ Green had just turned around, I mean, we'd be talking about Arizona still undefeated. But, you know, it happened the way that it did, and, you know, they finally went down. So I guess it was a win-win.
Yes, I actually have it in my notes for this episode of Ram Showcase that'll be recorded tomorrow. I actually have it in my notes that it's just one of those games for the Arizona Cardinals. I don't think this is I don't think it was a defining game for the Arizona Cardinals, I guess I should say. I don't think that's like now just who they are kind of thing, and that they're just going to struggle the rest of the season. They're still one heck of a football team. And hey, Green Bay Packers, they're a good team too. Let's not forget that the Green Bay Packers are also like one of the top NFC teams here. I mean, we're acting like the Arizona Cardinals losing that game is like the world's falling down. It's like how the Rams are. The Rams only losses to the Arizona Cardinals, and people freak out about that loss. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Right now, we're just kind of just a little bit here. We'll go over these last games that we had in Week 8. Like I mentioned earlier, we did get can't say all. 3 NFC West teams were able to pull out victories this week. The Arizona Cardinals were not able to. We'll start with the one that is like the least exciting one, and I can admit that, and that is the LA Rams defeating the Houston Texans. The Rams played 3 quarters. The Houston Texans played 4, and we're still able to come out with a pretty big win. Rams 38-22 for the final. Entering the fourth quarter, though, at 38-0. And I want to give you guys the right number here because this was just a little bit obnoxious. Let's see. The Texans entered the fourth quarter with 73 offensive yards. Rams were all over them, and then pulled the starters. John Wolford came in, the Wolf Awu, and defensive. You know, no more Donald, no more Ramsey, no more Kupp, no more Hendo. We're playing Buddy Howell, who we just signed. You know, and then of course the Texans were able to put up the 22 late there, but I mean, it was kind of what we expected, I guess. I don't know if any of you guys have anything that's like that blew your mind about this game. Anything? It is the most boring in my opinion. But anybody got anything on this one?
No, to me, it's what it was expected, honestly. I thought that was going to be beat down. I was telling Joe earlier before we started the stream, man, this game was one of the games that was given to me graciously by Fox because I had one game on CBS and this one by Fox. And by halftime, I was like, change this darn game. This game is so darn boring. I'm not a Rams fan. I want to see a good game. And I was like, and they didn't do it. So we expected it. The Rams are just superior over the Texans.
Oh, yeah, not even crazy. Steezy, anything on that one?
Honestly, no. I mean, like I talked about last week, if Tyrod Taylor had played, maybe the score would have been, I don't know, instead of 38-22, maybe it would have been 38-26. But, yeah, I mean, the gap in talent between the two teams is about as wide as it gets. And, I mean, for me, it's just unfair because I know we're probably going to touch on it, but you guys lead the league in sacks with 25, and yet you're able to acquire a future Hall of Famer who's the active leader in sacks in Von Miller. And so for me, like, oh my gosh, like that's just not cool.
I know.
But
I'm in love with it right now, by the way. We'll definitely talk about that a little bit more leading into this game that we have against the Tennessee Titans that we'll talk about here. CG, were you able to catch that beating of the Rams?
Man, dude. I had to say, change the channel, dude. It was an ugly performance by the Texans. But unfortunately for you guys, you were able to play your backups, get them some reps. But then you guys finish, It's sometimes you got to give your backups some reps, and it kind of helps your team building down the stretch in the playoffs if injuries happen. So I say the Rams did exactly what I told them they were going to do. They were going to dominate the Houston Texans. So that's what I saw right there, Of course, you want to get those guys in some good shape in case of something happens. So wasn't surprised.
Yeah, definitely curb stomped them, as you would say. We'll go. I don't even know which game to go to next. All the other three were a lot more exciting than this. We'll hit the Seahawks because the Seahawks hadn't won a home game, and then the Jacksonville Jaguars come to town, and then guys like me actually picked the Jags, which in hindsight was, I mean, it's like looking back, that is like, man, I don't know. But Steezy, go ahead and take it away on that one.
Yeah, I think honestly the only negative thing that I could take away from this game was the fact that our rushing offense only averaged 2.8 yards per carry. But when Geno Smith is lighting up the Jags to the tune of 14 straight completions to start off a game, which actually is a high mark in the NFL this season, he broke Aaron Rodgers' record of 13 completed passes to start off a game. He was 14 for 14. Tyler Lockett, 12 catches, 142 yards. DK Metcalf, 6 catches on 6 targets for 43 yards, and 2 highlight reel worthy touchdowns in the red zone. I thought that we actually finally went to the strength of this team, which is, our receiving core, which is our passing attack. Maybe not with Geno Smith at the helm, but with the weapons that we have in DK and Tyler, I definitely feel like these guys should be utilized more. And utilized they were. I mean, these guys were absolutely just torching the Jags all day long. I know the Jags are one of the most man-heavy teams in football, and Seattle just beat up on them. And selfishly, I wanted Seattle to shut them out, but, garbage time is a thing, and Trevor Lawrence ended up connecting with Jamal Agnew with a minute to go on 4th and goal. And so the final score really should have been 31-0, but, I'll take the 31-7. But I'm not going to dwell on this too much. It was expected. And the Jaguars just happen to be the worst team in football. And so, this isn't a win that I'm going to get super amped up about. I just hope that we go into the bye, the guys start to heal up. Hopefully we get Russ back soon. The reports on him have been encouraging. Same goes for Chris Carson, and I'm just ready for Green Bay.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's like, do what you're supposed to do, which is beat a team like the Jaguars at home. I mean, it's what you're supposed to do as the Seahawks in this one. I just want to throw this one up real fast. This 49ers Ultimate Report says it's Niners all day on this roundtable, as always, which I'll be honest, I think that Arizona kind of crushes these roundtables. Like, historically speaking, I mean, and that's coming from Rams guy, but do appreciate you being here, 49ers Ultimate Reports. And because that's on screen, CG, were you able to catch any of that Seahawks game? Were you had any takeaways from that one?
Okay, from the takeaways, I already picked the Seahawks on this game. And you guys were picking against the Seahawks. Me and Steezy were like the ones standing in the right corner. But in perspective, it was the Jaguars. They're still rebuilding. So Seattle had a little game to where they had to bounce back. So the fact that they dominate the Jaguars, they're completely rebuilt. Trevor Lawrence is a rookie quarterback. What I saw from this game was I expected Seattle to play like that because you got somebody like Geno Smith who's he's okay, game manager at best, but this was more like his coming out party type of game, So I felt like Seattle had a chance to capitalize a little bit, and they were able to curb stomp. So wasn't surprised by it, Might as well just change the channel because Seattle destroyed them.
Yeah, two not very close games for this one. Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I know we picked them against them. I honestly kind of was underestimating, the Hawks. Good for them. They won against the Jaguars. We'll get you a golf clap on that. But you definitely need Russ, man. Russ is going to definitely be needed because when your next game coming around, obviously you guys have your bye week. But when you guys play the Green Bay Packers, that was the one game, the light at the end of the tunnel. But these next 4-game stretch, if you don't have Russ in Green Bay, I don't know. That's going to be a tough game, man.
No doubt.
Yeah. Rams all day, and Joe's number one. That's absolutely true. So, thanks for joining us, Edwin. I do appreciate you, man. That game. I think honestly, I don't know if it was more of like hyping up the Jags for me last week, or just like I had so little faith in the Seahawks entering that game, and they were able to kind of pull it together. So I think I was I understand the Seahawks a little bit better, I think, moving forward. Now that we're at this point of the season, I think I know a little bit more of who they are. Russell Wilson coming back is going to be massive for them for sure. But we also had that game against we had the 49ers taking on the Chicago Bears. And I'll be honest, guys, I feel like Kyle Shanahan, he deprived the NFL of exactly what we wanted to see, which was Justin Fields versus Trey Lance, and he did not let us have it. He started Jimmy Garoppolo anyway. In fairness, Garoppolo did play well, but did not have a touchdown pass. CG, what do you got on this one?
Well, by watching that game, it was a sloppy start in the first half, and then second half and towards the fourth quarter, we started scoring 18-plus points. And then that's when I saw some momentum. Ever since that catch from Deebo Samuel for the 83-yard screen pass play, that is the momentum of the play because Chicago was in position to maybe shut us out. But I think that's what got us in. That spark, the running game was getting better. The fact that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't even throw a touchdown pass, he was able to run for a touchdown. So I guess you could say he kind of had a Forrest Gump day, ran for a touchdown, run. Run, Jimmy, run. But in all perspectively, Kyle Shanahan finally opened up the play a little bit better. So I got to give him credit where it's due. And Jimmy did his job. So
it's it just like I don't know. There's something about that game, and Jordan is absolutely right. These are the only things that are absolutely certain. But it's something about that game that like it almost frustrated me more the fact that Shanahan started Garoppolo instead of Trey Lance, because now I feel like he's calling plays that would fit Trey Lance a little bit better, but he's doing it with Garoppolo. So I don't know. I feel like Shanahan might be confused at what is actually going on here and on his own roster. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I still stand by my comment of when is the future? Is it now or is it later? That's my ridiculous way to say that. Steezy, were you able to catch that one?
So I wasn't able to watch this one, but I did go back and, see some highlights, see some of the box scores, see some of the stats. And obviously, the Niners came out on top. I think it was, 33-22. And, San Fran, for them to be able to come into Chicago and, take them down, I mean, it was kind of expected. Chicago, they're still kind of in their, their honeymoon phase with Justin Fields. He had arguably his best game as a pro. Finally he was utilized in the way I see it, in the correct way. They used some rollouts. He had over 100 yards rushing, and for a lot of fantasy owners out there, he's definitely a viable pickup. And I think that with Elijah Mitchell, I mean, he looked exceptionally well running the football for you guys, CG. I mean, I think you guys definitely have a find there. He's definitely just notches above your guys' third-round pick and Trey Sermon. I think he's just a better fit for the system. And, I have him on a couple of my fantasy teams, and so I got to see firsthand, his impact on the game, especially statistically. Another 100-yard performance. I know Chicago's defense isn't what it once was, but their run defense is still – I like to think is, top 10. And so for Elijah Mitchell and your guys' ground game to just really run all over him in Chicago, I thought that was a positive sign. Deebo Samuel, 171 yards receiving. I mean, my goodness, if he isn't a number one wideout in the NFL, then I don't know what he is. But I think you guys are doing just fine with that. George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk has still been a ghost all season, but Jimmy G played enough. He played well enough to win, and so you guys were able to get the dub. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be enough to get you guys out of last place in the NFC West. Just because eventually, I think Seattle will overtake San Fran. But definitely a good win for the Niners, and we'll see if Trey Lance comes in sooner rather than later.
Interesting. Yeah, you mentioned Deebo there. And just a real quick backtrack that I don't want to spin off into its own little topic here, but Gino really likes Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
So that's a plus. Mike?
Oh, I apologize. I didn't hear anything. Sorry.
Sorry.
Same thing that Easy said. Didn't really watch the game, but box, highlights and box scores and stuff like that. Kudos to the 49ers. I mean, what else we got to say to that? Right? They're trying to be competitive in the NFC West. I know it's really, really hard with the Rams and the Cardinals up there, but keep chipping away. There's still a lot of games left, so I guess kudos to the win.
Absolutely. We got a comment up here from Elon Musk. Kyler MVP. Hey, that feels pretty real, man, but this injury that we want to talk about here for a quick second as we talk about this game against the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers were able to defeat the Arizona Cardinals 24-21, very close game, and easily, with a quick turn of the head, could have been a W for the Arizona Cardinals. Take it away, Mike.
Yeah, man, this one was a heartbreaker, man. I'm watching this game. The offense didn't really get going in the first half, which was kind of disappointing, but it's not something that we haven't seen before from our Cardinals team. The Green Bay Packers had a game plan, and they executed it flawlessly. They did a very, very good job. They didn't have Adam Lazard. They didn't have, Adams, which at that point you would think, oh, my goodness, they're going to run the ball. That's what they're going to do, and that's exactly what they did. Ran the ball down our throat. A.J. Dillon. Jones just did a great job. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is still back there, so he needed to make throws when he needed to. But his passing game wasn't nothing impressive, man. He had 170 yards, something like that. But he didn't need to be great. That was the crazy part. The running game is what killed us all. The time of possession was absolutely nuts. The first half, it was 20 minutes to 10 minutes. And their number one game plan, obviously run the ball down our throat and keep Kyler Murray off the field, worked to perfection. So kudos to them. But heartbreaker, you're right. It could have been this could have been a win if AJ Green turned around. I agree. But we've also kind of felt on the other side of the coin as well. I'm telling my Cardinal fans, calm down. It's not the end of the world. We took one from the Vikings. They could have easily beat us. And now we know how Vikings fans feel. You know what I mean? When this game could have been ours, but, we're all human. We all make mistakes. But still a heartbreaker. I'm just ready to turn the page and start thinking San Francisco.
Yeah, before we hit down to CG and then over to Steezy on this one, I just want to mention, I think I already said it, this game does not define the Arizona Cardinals. Like, them losing to the Green Bay Packers, who are a very talented team, that's not something that you need to any Cardinals fan or any NFC West fan, honestly, should look at and be like, oh, the Cardinals are going to fall down. Like, they're done, kind of thing. That's just not the case. I mean, they lose at home, but I mean, the Rams lost at home to the Arizona Cardinals, and nobody is sitting here right now saying that the Rams are done for the season because of that loss. So I think that game, it obviously was very close, and it just felt like one of those days. Kyler felt just a touch off, and then of course he does get that injury there late, which is really unfortunate. It looks like 1-3 for him, but that's. It could have gone either way, and it just kind of fell that way. I'm glad that was a primetime game. I love when those primetime games are good matchups on Thursday Night Football, because that's very rare, and then also it's a good game. CG, we'll keep this Niners comment up for you.
Yeah, well, comments. So John Jay, I know. I don't use phrase, bro. I just use go Niners, or I use the definition of my confidence, curb stomp. Like the guy said in the comment section, when they say death tax, CG will be saying curb stomp. So that's my phrase.
Death
so,
tax.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Yeah, I mean.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that. Oh, I missed one here. Steezy, anything on that game?
Yeah, honestly, I think I might have might have said this before, but the Packers were right in, taking a page out of the Browns and the Cowboys playbook by utilizing both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon to run it down, the Cardinals' throats. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I mean, I think Arizona's defense might start to show a few cracks here and there, especially with the absence of J.J. Watt, who was vital to your guys' defense being a top 10 unit, especially that run defense, especially that pass rush. And I definitely felt like his absence, you guys definitely felt it. But for me, it is a little bit worrisome for Arizona. And I know Green Bay is one of the elite teams in the NFL, but come on, y'all. They were missing Devontae Adams, arguably the best receiver in football. And they already don't have much outside of Devontae. And so I think for you guys to lose to Green Bay, you guys were at home. You guys had the edge being that, it was a short turnaround, but you guys were at home. To me, it is a little worrisome, because like I said, they were missing Devontae. They were missing arguably the best tackle in football, David Bakhtiari. One of the best corners in football, Jair Alexander. He didn't play. Zadarius Smith, their best pass rusher, didn't play. So we're talking about their best cover man, their best pass rusher, their best receiver, one of the best tackles in David Bakhtiari. They were missing all those guys on a short week, traveling all the way to Arizona, and you guys still couldn't pull it off. To me, that's a little worrisome. I know the Packers are talented. I know they're well coached, and I know they have an elite ground game, but they were missing way too many pieces for me to walk away and kind of look at Arizona as, oh, they just lost to the Packers. Oh, it was a great team. They were missing a lot. So that's kind of my takeaway from there.
As long as you have Aaron Rodgers, you could be missing all the wide receivers. You follow that guy is a magician, man. They had a really good game plan. I agree. I see what you're saying, but J.J. Watt being out definitely sucks. Definitely does suck. I hope that what happens for our Cardinals team is we really take a look ourselves in the mirror and kind of what we talked about in our last roundtable, saying, hey, we were undefeated, but look at us now, man. We're breakable. So let's see what we can do to get better. I'd rather lose now than in the playoffs. So hopefully we can learn from this. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's some interesting points there for sure. But I think that I don't want to spoil my picks or anything like that. But I think that after this next week, that conversation is not necessarily going to be happening with the Arizona Cardinals. MG Yo says 49ers make Justin Fields look like Michael Vick. Yeah, that run, guys. Holy crap. That was awesome.
It was.
That was exciting.
Kind of remind me of a play like Steve Young did when he went around against the Vikings. Kind of like that play, but like the way Justin Fields did play, he did play more like Lamar Jackson. Also, Lamar's this runner also, but as soon as Justin Fields gets better with experience, I think this kid's going to be special. Just the tip of his iceberg. I mean, the Bears got themselves something with that quarterback, but that's another day to discuss.
Did the Packers enter that game without, off a bye week? Because this comment came in, says that Rodgers didn't play the week before.
Here, let me.
No, I
don't think so.
I think they played the week before. They were on a short week as much as we were. Yeah.
And Rodgers played, right?
Yeah.
I don't see why he wouldn't have.
Yeah, they played the football team. They
played Washington football team.
I love calling him that. That's so
fun. They played Washington football team. Yeah.
The football team. So I'm not sure, Elon, what you're talking about over there, but we do have a bunch of sweet football games to talk about this week. The Arizona Cardinals and San Francisco 49ers are playing, so that means that we get a good bet going again. We get another one of these where the winner or the loser will have to create a video talking about why the other team is superior. I've done it. Steezy's done it. CG has done it a few times. And Mike, we're waiting on yours, man. Maybe it'll be this week. Maybe.
Let's hope so.
I definitely hope so. All right, because if the Rams can beat the Tennessee Titans and the 49ers can pull one off against the Cardinals, we're sitting at number one, and then I get to make a little sign. Okay. But that game does kick off at 1:25 p.m. on Fox. We don't have distribution map yet, so I'm sure if you guys are in close enough to the area, you guys will see it, but distribution maps come out on Wednesdays, so we don't know exactly where it's all going to be right now. There's some pretty good games this week, though, but you know what, Mike? I'll let you kind of start this one and make your picks.
Yeah, so Cardinals, 49ers. This is going to be a good game. Honestly, the 49ers coming off a pretty good win. It was against the Bears, but I honestly do think that, Jimmy G kind of had an exciting game for himself. He was really feeling himself, especially those two rushing touchdowns that he ended up getting. And they seem to be doing very, very well. Am I worried as a Cardinal fan? I mean, obviously, anytime we play anybody in the division, even when we're going to be playing the struggling Seattle Seahawks, I'm going to be worried because we know they know us as much as we know them. It kind of almost seemed like clockwork when we were having such a crappy season, when we go over to CenturyLink or Lumen Field, what it's called now, we beat them there, they beat us here. It's weird, but that's how it is and unpredictable when it comes down to these division games. But obviously, as a Cardinal fan, I'm going to have to lean over to my Arizona Cardinals. I hope we get a get-right game. I know Kyler Murray was on this, the report came out that Kyler Murray's, hurt with the sprained ankle, and he was obviously limping towards the last parts of the game versus the Green Bay Packers, which is a call for concern, but I guess good opportunity that we had a Thursday game, so he has a little bit more time to rest up. Do I think he's going to play personally? It's crazy because after his post game, he said he was fine. And then Monday came around and they said, spraining. Oh no, Sunday came around and said sprained ankle. I think it's more of a smokescreen. I think he did get hurt, but not to the extent of we should be posting these type of stuff. I think it's a smokescreen. I think they want the 49ers to be like, oh, who are we going to play? Colt McCoy, Kyler Murray. I think that's going to be the kind of situation, but I do think Kyler Murray will play. So Cardinals win. I say 35-24 Cardinals.
35-24. All right, CG?
Well, I'm going to be in attendance of that game at Levi Stadium. So the matchup, it's kind of going to be a dogfight. Both teams are going to give it their best. The last meeting, the Cardinals won by 7 points, but they only scored 17 points the previous game. So guess who the Niners have coming back this time? George Kittle. They got a couple key players coming back. Their other linebackers coming back. Dre Greenlaw, quite a few other players that they didn't even have to play against. So I feel like it's going to be evenly a fair game and a very competitive game. But what's a better way to expose the Cardinals defense is the way we've been able to run the ball. And if we do that, I see us winning by 3 points. So I got a good feeling that the 49ers are building momentum and they got a first home win. So I say the 49ers win 27-24 in a shocker. Last second field goal.
Wow. Didn't you guys just release your kicker?
Yeah, Gold coming back.
Oh, Gold coming back. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense there.
Steezy?
Man, I like what CJ's saying. I'm gonna play the role of antagonist here to Mike, and I'm gonna go with San Fran. Last time these two teams played, it was in Arizona, and it was a lot closer than people anticipated. Like CG said, Arizona ended up only winning by 7. Wasn't super convincing, but at the end of the day, this is a divisional matchup, and divisional matchups are they breed upsets, and so I know there is a big discrepancy in talent between the Cardinals and the 49ers, but if in any way Kyler Murray is limited and if DeAndre Hopkins is limited, because as you guys might know, DeAndre Hopkins wasn't supposed to check back in to that game against the Packers. It was against the coach's will. And so who knows, maybe he isn't 100%. I know you guys have a plethora of weapons, and so you're not necessarily going to miss him, but I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best receivers in football, and so his absence will definitely be felt. And I just feel like with San Fran, I mean, CG kind of alluded to it. Look, if Green Bay was able to run it down your guys' throats, I feel like San Fran, I mean, they should definitely be able to do the same thing. Elijah Mitchell, he's been on a tear. He's rushed for over 100 yards his last 2 to 3 games. Against the Chicago Bears, had over 130 yards. And I think that if San Fran's going to lean on the run, if George Kittle, if his return is going to revitalize this football team, especially when it comes to their physicality, I think they can end away with an upset. And with that being said, I think San Fran comes away on top. It's going to be close. It's not going to be a blowout by any means, but I think San Fran wins. I'm going to say, let's say 28 to Arizona, 24.
Well, I did not realize that we were going to see a bunch of overreactions to this game on Thursday this last week, but apparently that's where we're at now. Who is the Cardinals' backup quarterback?
Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy,
that's right. I don't know why in my brain kept wanting to tell me Rosen, and I knew that was wrong. He's
on the Falcons.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So, even with Colt McCoy, I think that you made me a little bit more confident, Mike, saying that you think that Kyler could play in this one. But ultimately, I think that defense for the Arizona Cardinals, I think, is going to be way too strong for this San Francisco 49ers team. I know that when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. I know that Garoppolo had a good game last week, but the conversation will always continue until we eventually see them just move on to Trey Lance. And like I said earlier, it's like Shanahan's almost trying to use Garoppolo in the ways that Trey Lance is best at. So I'm kind of confused at that. But I will say that I think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to kind of blow away the 49ers a little bit. So I'm definitely going Arizona Cardinals in this one. As far as a score prediction, I'm not sure how close it'll be. I know that everybody here seems to think it'll be a decently close game, but I'm kind of not with that. And also, we've seen historically that when there's not a lot of tape on a quarterback, and I know that McCoy's been around for a while, but we don't know what he looks like with this offense, with these weapons, and what his tendencies will be. Typically, that tends to be a good day for that quarterback. So I'm going to say that the Cardinals win this one. If I've got to put a score prediction on it, I'm going to say 38-13. I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think the Cardinals this one. I think the Cardinals are pissed from last week, losing that game to the Green Bay Packers, and I just don't see a way that they come in soft whatsoever in this game.
Let me also mention here, I know like everybody's saying the blueprint's out on the Arizona Cardinals, but you can't compare Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon to Elijah Mitchell. I mean, you got to give kudos to Elijah Mitchell, but he's know those guys, and they have no Aaron Rodgers. They have a better chance with Trey Lance, trust me, than they do with Jimmy Garoppolo. Trust me when I say that.
Yeah, it's like there is some injuries there, but like I mean, obviously it's not the end of the world. The sky is not falling in Arizona, and I think that
not at all.
With a little bit of a pseudo bye after the Thursday game, I think that everybody's kind of a little bit more rested than they normally are. I think that they're going to come in pretty big on this one. Unfortunately, we only have one other game because there is a bye week, which is kind of a bummer. I'll be honest with you. Real fast, I want to hit this comment. Colt McCoy revenge game. Also, Steezy McCoy beat the Seahawks last year. Also, really like watching the roundtable. So thank you, first of all. So appreciate that. But Steezy, you want to respond to this one at all?
I will say it was the Giants' defense that beat Seattle last year. Not Colt McCoy, but at the end of the day, he did play quarterback. So, hats off to Colt McCoy for doing that. But if he was to start this Sunday against the Niners, I don't expect a repeat.
That I almost wanted to make it conditional, but because of the way that game went last week for the Arizona Cardinals, where it just seemed like whatever they tried, the Packers were just like one step ahead of them, and I think that this Arizona Cardinals team this season, I think, is too good to let that happen again, especially against a division opponent. They know that if they lose a division game and say the Rams were able to defeat the Tennessee Titans, which we'll talk about here in a second, then, I mean, we'd move up. And then, of course, they got the tiebreaker still, but we got to play again. But I think that I don't think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be willing to drop another one to another game back-to-back, especially after a 7-0 start. I just don't see it happening. And we do have a pick here from the crowd. 49ers will beat Arizona 31-20. So we have that's actually like a decent spread there for Corey Davis saying that the 49ers are going to do it to Arizona, man. CG, do you want to have anything on this one, add to Corey Davis's comment here?
Well, to be fair, we did play a close game without much of our talent, and we did give Arizona a good fight. Just a healthy George Kittle coming back and our defense coming all the way back, I feel like we have a chance to upset the Cardinals. Cardinals are coming off a defeat. Usually they get a little too confident after they lose a game, but sometimes they get pissed off or sometimes they stay down. So I feel like this is a chance to curb stop them down to the ground and then maybe give it to the Rams for a little bit. But I feel like we could play a good game against the Cardinals. But I feel like this time we're going to get our payback. You can believe that.
See, there's something about this week that like the Cardinals lose to a one-loss Green Bay Packers team, and the 49ers beat up on the Chicago Bears, and now everybody's like, look out!
Right, exactly. That's the problem, man. With 1 week to happen to the next, everybody thinks the Cardinals are, fakers. But we'll see, man. We'll see what happens next week. I'm excited.
Yeah, next up, we'll talk about the LA Rams Sunday Night Football hosting the Tennessee Titans, who are actually first place in the entire AFC. They're 6-2. We're 7-1. They're first place in the entire NFC. We're sitting at the 5th seed in the NFC playoff race right now. So it's a little bit ridiculous, I guess, from that standpoint. But if you look at the AFC playoff race, it's chaos and anything can happen at that point. And also, I mean, the NFC is too, but it's all like 1-loss, 2-loss teams, like all the way down until you get to like, I think Atlanta might be sitting there right now in that 7. But yeah, either way, the LA Rams Sunday Night Football this week against the Derrick Henry-less Tennessee Titans. And I'll be honest, guys, as a fan of the game, as a fan of football, I hate to hear this news. As a fan of the Rams who want to see them win on Sunday, love this news. So I'm a little bit conflicted on that, but I was desperate to see Derrick Henry and Aaron Donald meet at the goal line and just see what happened. All right. But not only do we have not Derrick Henry playing, but the Rams also went out and made a pretty sweet move. If you guys have the internet, you guys know that the newest Los Angeles Ram is linebacker Von Miller, courtesy of the Denver Broncos. They handed him to us, which is awesome. And then also they were like, hey, do you just want Von Miller, but also for free, basically, because they're going to cover $9 million of his $9.7 million cap hit this season. So all's good there. And the reason that I think ties in so well to this game is that you lose Derrick Henry, but you add to your pass rush for the Rams. So now we can get after Tannehill. I'm expecting a Rams win. That Tennessee Titans team is definitely no joke, though, and those weapons that that Tannehill does have to throw to is going to be tough to cover. Jalen Ramsey, though, should hopefully be on Julio Jones the whole day. I know we've kind of been using him a little bit different this year. Not the biggest fan of that, but Julio Jones coming to town, A.J. Brown, that's going to be tough. And I just think that the way that the Rams secondary has been playing, I think one thing that we were missing was a little bit of a stronger pass rush, and I think the Rams were able to address that. I think the Rams are able to address that with Von Miller. So I do have the Rams winning. If I got to put a score prediction on it here, I'm going to say I think the Rams can score points. I don't think that has been an issue at all this season. So I think that the Rams will put up about 34. And for the Tennessee Titans losing Derrick Henry, that is a massive blow to that team. The massive blow. He was basically the Tennessee Titans. So because you lose Derrick Henry, and I know that they have the weapons and all that, but the way that this Rams roster is built, the Rams defense is built, I think it kind of specializes to stop that, which is a lack of a running game, but some weapons. I think that the Rams will specialize in that. So I think that the Tennessee Titans will put up, I'll say 17. So I'll go 34-17 with a big old Rams win, moving up to 8-1, likely with the Arizona Cardinals. I'll say it, guys. I think it's likely that the Arizona Cardinals and Rams both win this week. But we'll go over to you, Mike.
Oh, man. Derrick Henry-less Titans. That's awesome for you guys. That's great. Honestly, I think this is going to be a very good game. I hope. What time slot is this going to be?
This is Sunday Night Football.
This is going to be another good primetime game, man. I do think that this is, regardless that, Derrick Henry's not going to be there. They just signed. What's it called?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's going to be
all day.
Yeah, all day
AP.
is going to be there. AP. So very excited to see that. I do think that the Rams are a more disciplined team, though. I do think it's going to be a little bit higher score game than you predicted. I'm going to say 34-21. Rams win, but this is going to be interesting, man. I'm excited to see what A.J. Brown's going to do and Julio Jones. If I were you guys, I would rather put Jalen Ramsey on A.J. Brown than Julio Jones. Julio Jones, man, he's striding. He's collecting that paycheck right now to me. I don't think he's really that guy anymore, but I think the Rams are going to win this game.
That's a good point. Also, just to kind of piggyback on that comment just a touch, there is a chance that Darius Williams does come back for the Rams this week. Looks like he's going to be returning to practice, and we're in that window where he can be reactivated.
Nice.
So it's potential that he's back for this one. We'll see. We'll go to Steezy.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, you guys already mentioned that Derrick Henry is the Titans. He is the identity of the Tennessee Titans. Luckily, they signed my favorite player of all time, Adrian All-Day Peterson. I know he's definitely washed up. I know he's past his prime. But if you wanted to replicate or at least retain some of that physicality that Derrick Henry brings to the ground game, I don't think he can do any better, especially with the options that are available at this point, than Adrian Peterson. In the last 3 years, he still had somewhat of a nose for the end zone. I think he has about 17, 18 touchdowns with the Detroit Lions and the Washington football team. And so he can still do that. He doesn't have the same burst or explosiveness that he once had, but, and watching some of those games from last year, he can still get to the second level, break a tackle here or there. And I think that with the Tennessee Titans offensive line, those guys are better suited to run block. These guys want to get nasty. These guys want to get physical. These guys want to go downhill. These guys want to play physical, and they want to, they want to beat the guy in front of them, with force. They're better suited to do that than by pass blocking. But then, like I said earlier, the Rams already leading the league in sacks with 25. Now they bring in extra firepower in the form of Von Miller on top of Leonard Floyd, who has 6.5 sacks. Obviously, Aaron Donald with his 5 sacks. We know what he's capable of. Joe mentioned it, the pending return of potentially Darius Williams. He can help to offset, the return of Julio Jones. Look, I expect a lot of points. I still think that Ryan Tannehill is a top 10 quarterback in football, and I think that using a mixture of AP, a mixture of a third down back like Jeremy McNichols, I think they're going to be able to put up a fight, and I think that they'll be able to put up some points on the board. Obviously, with the heart of their team out, we know that defense is pretty bad, and so I expect points, but I don't expect a win for the Titans. I expect the Rams to hold on. I think at the end of the day, the Rams do win. I'm going to say 34 to Tennessee, 27.
Perfect. Right before we get to UCG, I just want to kind of correct one of my comments that I had there. I don't want it to sound like I didn't think that the Rams had a good pass rush. Obviously, leading the league in sacks that means you have a good pass rush. You can't just fall into sacks and be the leader halfway through the season if you don't have a good pass rush. My comments on that are more towards the secondary. The Rams secondary has been playing very soft this season, from a year ago into the Brandon Staley defense to this Raheem Morris defense that we've seen. So I think that there's only one way that can really benefit the secondary, which is increase the pass rush, make that pass rush even more deadly to help out that secondary. It'll definitely behoove the secondary to now have Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, Sebastian Joseph Day, all those guys going after the quarterback. But go ahead, CG.
Well, if you look at the matchup, I feel like the Rams actually had to wake up from this Lions game, and I feel like they had to get their act together. But now they're playing Tennessee with with no Derrick Henry. They got a good offensive line. Your defense is going to match up pretty well, but can they actually cover A.J. Brown is the question. Well, Ramsey's going to have to stick with him at least, right? So that kind of leaves the opening opportunity for Julio Jones to step in. So that could be a scary look. But for some reason, I got the Rams winning by at least 6 points on this game. So I got the score, the Rams 38, Tennessee 32. It's going to be a good primetime game. It's going to be a shootout. Tannehill's going to put up some good numbers. I feel like Stafford's going to throw in some good passes and put on some good numbers. So anybody in the fantasy football league want to play Stafford, man, this guy's going to put up some monster numbers. And then the running game with Darrell Henderson, he's going to run it pretty effectively. Like, this is a good matchup if you want to play Darrell Henderson, especially in the backfield. This is where Stafford's going to make his money's worth right there.
Well, actually, I mean, if you look at the Tennessee Titans, they're actually 8th in the NFL against the run. And I know that the Rams defense gets a lot of, crap this year because of the drop off and what feels like a big drop off from a year ago, where, I mean, just a total domination on defense. Ended the year first in points against, first in yards against. So, but also this year, I mean, those numbers have dipped dramatically. But it has that bend but don't break feel to it right now. And the Rams are also still top 10 in points allowed. So I don't know if a Derrick Henry-less Tennessee Titans will get to the 30s range. I just don't really see that happening. The Rams aren't giving up that many points. They are giving up yards, but not necessarily that many points. And
but it's going to depend on Tannehill. Tannehill's going to pretty much have to elevate himself. He's going to be the guy that's going to put up the numbers. And a very limited running game is going to probably help him a little bit. Because this week, going forward, Tannehill's going to have to carry Tennessee's offense. So I think this is where it could be a 30-plus point matchup and Tannehill putting up some crazy numbers.
I don't know. I guess I definitely see your point. I just don't know if Leonard Floyd, Von Miller, and Aaron Donald are coming after Ryan Tannehill when Jalen Ramsey's covering his target will lead to 30-plus points. I don't know if he's that much of somebody who can elevate his offense, but I mean, yeah, there's definitely some weapons. And every time I feel like I get really cocky about the Rams and start talking about how awesome they are, they come in real flat. So, I mean, I don't want to get too crazy on it. But Elon Musk here says that Chandler Jones is going to wake up on Sunday to get 3 sacks. And he has.
Wow.
Has it been since week 1? Or has he
yeah,
gotten
man. No, he hasn't gotten a sack since week 1. That's a very concerning thing for us Cardinal fans right now. We thought we were going to have a monster season from Chandler Jones. Also, he got hurt a little bit. Well, not hurt. He went to the COVID list, so he wasn't in a few games. So came back. We thought he was going to be fierce, and he hasn't really gave us the production that we thought he was going to. He actually put a tweet out today, which kind of got a lot of us like concerned. He basically on his Twitter said, "Everybody getting traded." That's it. And now obviously the Cardinals
come on.
Yeah, we all got a little scared. We're like, oh my God, he's leaving. But I'm glad he's here. But he's got to step it up, man. He's definitely got to step it up. That's the number one thing that we need. He's our number one pass rusher. I'm not sure if he's gonna stay with the Arizona Cardinals next year. I really don't.
All right, we'll kind of open it up a little bit to some questions. If anybody's got a question for anybody specific in here, I know I kind of just myself. It's not necessarily a question, but just a comment on the Seattle Seahawks. Is that win, even though it's against the Jacksonville Jaguars, every team that's in the NFL, this is going to sound like a ridiculous comment, but every team that's in the NFL is an NFL team, okay? And so it's to beat them that way is massive. And then you also, on top of that, get a break. You get the bye week to kind of chill out a little bit. You've got Russell Wilson posting pictures of the pin that was inside of his body, and I'll be honest, I think that's kind of gross. I don't know what it was. There wasn't anything on it. There wasn't blood or it. I was like, what, dude? Like, but with him coming back as well, I think that timing of the bye week and the big win and Russ coming back, I think I'm going to kind of piggyback on some Steezy comments here and say that I do think that they start to kind of string together a couple of dubs and knock those 49ers down to fourth, probably for good for this season at least.
You know, just to add to that, Joe, and you look at some of the teams that are above the Seahawks in the playoff race, right? We're talking about the Saints, we're talking about the Vikings. Well, the Vikings just lost Daniel Hunter to a torn pectoral, and last year we saw the Vikings without him. That defense was awful, and so and then for them to lose at home to a backup quarterback named Cooper Rush, that was a game that they should have won, and so that's definitely a setback for them. And the only reason why I bring them up is because they're ahead of Seattle, and they also have the head-to-head tiebreaker. But without Hunter, I don't see them consistently winning games down the stretch, especially when they let this one slip. And then the Saints, they're also ahead of Seattle. They also have the head-to-head tiebreaker. But Jameis Winston out for the season with a torn ACL. Do we expect Trevor Siemian or Taysom Hill to consistently, score points for this offense moving forward? I don't know about that. And so, to kind of add on to everything that you've been saying, I mean, I think things are looking up for Seattle. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they played some teams tough, the Cardinals, the Bengals. And so for Seattle to kind of just, thrash the Jaguars at home, it definitely has a little bit more meaning to it, seeing as how, the Jaguars have pushed elite teams like the Bengals and the Cardinals. And usually Seattle is known for playing down to their competition. It's been a while since – I know last year we blew out the Jets 40-3, but with the exception of that game, it's been a while since I've seen Seattle blow out an opponent, no matter how inferior the opponent is. And so it definitely it's definitely very, I feel like, convincing, and moving forward, it'll definitely be revitalizing for the team.
Yeah, just to kind of talk about the Seahawks and their wild card chances here a little bit. The teams that are currently wild card teams are the LA Rams, the Saints, and the Panthers. I think the Saints are a decent one that I think will continue to kind of put a couple things together, but their quarterback position definitely worries me, and I don't think Taysom Hill's a guy that can consistently put wins together. They're already sitting at 5-2, so it's kind of a weird situation on how much of a head start does he need to kind of maintain it and fall into the playoffs. The Panthers, they seem super hit or miss. If McCaffrey's not playing, they're more miss than not. The Minnesota Vikings, I'm not high on them. Right now, the 49ers sit that half game, in front of Seattle. I don't want to sit here and bash them or anything like that, but I see the Seahawks being a better team than them. Atlanta Falcons, Philadelphia Eagles are the other two that sit in their way, and I think both of those teams are not playoff teams. So no. I do think that the Seahawks have a very real chance to squeeze into a 7 or 6 seed, even with the kind of a weak start, and then you have that little gap without Russ. I think that they're still in a good spot to squeak in there.
No doubt.
Anybody else have any questions or anything? Edwin coming in. What do you guys give? But Aaron Donald, I can't answer this, so I'll leave it to you guys.
What do you guys give up to get Aaron Donald? Huh.
Keep in mind, he is 30, which I mean, I don't know how old that is for him. I don't know.
What would you guys give up? I'd give up as many first-round picks as the Rams would ask for. I mean, if that's the question.
We don't even like first-round picks. What do you mean?
Right.
True. I mean, look, I'll give up as many of my skill players. You know, if for example, Seattle, if you guys want Lockett.
That's kind of interesting because, like I guess this is almost a good question of like you guys could give me like if you offered it to me and I got to decide if you guys got Aaron Donald for what you offered, you know, like I would definitely ask for more than Lockett. I mean,
no, I wasn't even close to being done. He was just kind of the baseline of the package, but I would say Lockett, Wagner. You guys can have Jamal.
Selling the farm.
I'm playing. No, I'm not giving up on him yet. But no, what Bobby Wagner, Lockett. You guys want Dwayne Brown? You can have Dwayne Brown. And then 3 first-round picks. What do you say?
That's tough, man. That's a good one. That's a strong offer. Throw in Russ and I'll say yes.
Nice.
Oh man.
What about you, CG? If you had to, if somebody was coming to you saying, put together a package to trade for Aaron Donald, what would you give?
All right, I'll give you Dre Greenlaw, Eric Armstead, and maybe 2 first-round picks in those deals. You get to build yourself a good linebacker who's an up-and-coming guy. Besides talking about Warner, this guy's really good. Eric Armstead, he could take double blocks. He would be like a solid replacement for Aaron Donald. And you get 2 first-round picks, man. What do you think?
Throw in Debo, too, and you got a deal.
You want that cherry on that ice cream.
You want that Debo? Oh, man.
You take the first offer. Come on now.
True.
What do you got, AZ?
I don't know if I would even humor it, man. I don't know. I mean, I like Aaron Donald. Definitely, no disrespect to him. He's a great player. But I don't even know what we would build to
Dude, putting him on that front though, say that
would be crazy.
Was not hurt, and then you still have Jones and Watt with Donald. I mean, that would be
massive, man. That would be massive. The only other thing I could think of is maybe like giving you like first round picks for like days. But like my players right now, my roster, I'm good with who we have right now. We just got to step it up. That JJ Watt's hurt.
That is.
Wow, I've never heard anybody turn down Aaron Donald.
I said first round picks. I'll throw them to you. But I mean, my players, I'm cool with my players right now.
We do not value first round picks like other people do. And actually, guys, for everybody who's here, this episode of Rams Showcase, I've got a whole topic on a whole thing written out about how the Rams have decided to build their team. We'll talk about that this week on this. So we'll wrap it up with this comment here from Elon Musk. You can take this one, Mike, and then we'll kind of wrap up here.
Honestly, I was very surprised about this as well. Andy Isabella not getting traded. I thought he was going to get traded to the Lions because there was a lot of rumors going around there that they maybe had a little bit of interest in him. I don't see a future use for it unless somebody gets hurt in our wide receiving core. You know, Rondell Moore, Christian Kirk, AJ, or D-Hop. I don't really see a spot for Andy Isabella. It's unfortunate. A lot of high hopes for him. He just never kind of panned out for us. Rondell Moore is doing what he should have done. And Rondell Moore's he's done some little rookie mistakes in this Green Bay game that has maybe kind of, cost some points. But he'll learn.
You guys going to cut him maybe?
Maybe next year, man. Honestly, he has not done very much. He did one explosive catch. Well, sorry. He had a really good game against Detroit a couple years back, and he had a really good catch against the 49ers. But other than that, man, he's
Hey, if anybody wants Deshaun Jackson, he's out there looking for a home.
Yeah, he's looking for a home right now.
We'll take him.
We'll take him.
Y'all can have him. It's fine. It's a very low impact for him to leave the LA Rams. We weren't really using him, so it's whatever. But
Van Jefferson looks a lot better anyway. So
we'll slap this one up for you guys really fast again, so you guys can remember them. Ram Showcase, which is where you guys are watching this, so go ahead and hit a subscribe there. The AZ Sports Fan, CG Ruthless Sports, as well as Steezy A Smith. Guys, thank you so much for talking some NFC West ball, man. It's always a good time.
Absolutely, man. It's
always
fun.
a pleasure.
See y'all.
Appreciate it, man.